Welcome to the Hub Podcast. I am your host, Cheney Passer. With me is Courtney Briggs. And this is how we feel after the last 2 weeks. After Christmas break.
So freaking tired and grateful.
Pure exhaustion.
With a sprinkle of happiness and love.
This will be Sleepy Time Podcast. This will be your night podcast for the week. Because they're going to be soft and monotone.
Like when you do the yogas that's like, get ready for bed.
Yeah.
Our conversation will get you ready for bed.
Yep.
You just look at us and you go, wow, how am I exhausted all of a sudden?
I'm getting sleepy just watching them. It was long. It was long and tiresome. It was good.
But like I said, grateful. We are grateful. We feel happy. It's always a mix. Sometimes you gotta live hard to get the fun experiences, and I feel like whenever we go back, we live hard.
Yeah. It is. It's like a power 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like almost like throw everything out the window kind of thing. It's just like you're not going to get a lot of sleep. You're going to drink more than you want to. You're not going to eat the best foods that you want to. You're not going to exercise as much as you want, but you just got to keep going because we don't go back there, 6 times a year. We go there, me maybe once or twice, you maybe 2 or 3, and it's just power through.
Yeah, because we said that when we were there too. It's like we're a part of everybody's go crazy night.
Yeah.
Just because we try to hit everybody, like all the families and then kind of individuals within the family that, everybody has their weekend night or their night that they're like, you know what, screw it. I'm going to eat whatever. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to drink a lot. We're going to stay up and talk. And they're like, okay, I got that. And then the next night, you're with that person's go crazy night.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's also part of it. Like that's what's fun is every night is. It's good until you have a relaxing day. Then it's like, holy crap, I'm tired.
Yeah.
But if you can like pack it in every single day and every night, you just keep pushing, and then it's fine.
Yeah, it's almost like you just don't even think about it. You just keep going.
Yeah. Do you want to tell them how late we slept into the night?
Yeah, we got home at 12:30 last night?
Yeah.
Because we drove all day, like
17 hours.
17 hours, 18 hours, drove all day, and then we got home and we slept till 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock, the long 1 o'clock, so we slept like 13 hours or something.
Yeah.
Almost.
Gosh, I needed it though.
Yeah.
I needed it.
I'm ready to go to bed now, and it's 7:30.
I know. I feel like we needed it just because of the long day and the long like getting home late and driving. That was hard to stay awake. But and just like recovery I feel like this is the similar feeling that I always feel after coming back from work weekends. 'Cause it's like, oh, that was so fun and exciting and fulfilling, but I am exhausted. Like this is exciting. I'm excited to do the podcast. I'm excited to like get back to work and do things. Like none of the things I'm doing are dreadful, but it's just like it's a lot to even do the exciting fun stuff. Just your body is like chill.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like already it's like, oh, you got a bunch of sleep, but it's going to take a few days to like get back to normal. Because especially like while we're there, while you're gone on the weekends for the for work, it's like you're just not eating your normal things. You're not maybe sleeping your normal times. Even just like you might get 8 hours, but you went to bed way later and got up later. You kind of get off a schedule.
Yeah.
That like you're eating, you're sleeping, and you're exercising. Just it's different than you're used to. And it's weird how much it throws you. Like it just is.
Well, and that's something that we talked about with my dad too, is like the more that you consistently work out, consistently eat healthy and eat in certain things, you can't really do those go off the wall, like what people would say like a cheat day is. Because it it like takes you down too much from what your normal is, that like I'll feel kind of sick almost. It's not like, oh, this is just like I don't feel very good from it. It's like, no, this like takes me days to like recover from this food and to.
Yeah, and I think
So it's like it's good because you're eating like that most of the time, but then when you do want to go crazy, you almost can't really anymore.
and I wonder if it actually affects you more, or you're more in tune with your body and what's going on, that you notice it more than you would if you're just kind of continuously doing that, you know?
Interesting. That's a good point.
Because for me, it's like
That's a good point. Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily like feel it more of like, oh, I eat healthy and now or exercise a lot, and now I do a 2 weeks of like not eating very great and not exercising as much as I'm used to. Am I feeling it more because I'm used to doing that all the time? Or is it just like, no, I've been living a healthy lifestyle, so I'm typically in tune with what's going on, and I can tell if I've exercised or not, or I can tell if I've eaten something that makes me feel bloated or doesn't give me a lot of energy or whatever. Because, a lot of the days it's just a lot of food that doesn't give you any energy. Like for me, I eat so much fruit, and I basically have no fruit while we're there, that I notice my energy levels are just so low, and my digestion is, very slow, and it doesn't really work properly. And I'm kind of waking up without any jazz, I'm just waking up tired, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah, that's actually a different way to look at it. I always thought it was just like you just can't. I bet it is a little bit of both, but yeah, definitely being in tune.
Most of the time it's
You'll be aware of
both.
it. We are also, as I'm fixing my slippers, we are presenting some of our presents today.
We're showing off our,
A lot of people got us. We decided we're doing gnomes and nutcrackers for our Christmas decorations for life.
For life.
So people got us that, which is super exciting. I love this little guy with the crisscross legs, crazy legs. We got some nutcrackers over there. Got a gnome. Got a bunch of gnomes. Got some gnomes over here. We have a bunch of other stuff that wasn't able to get in the shot.
Yeah, I can't fit in the shot.
New mug. Cheney has one too. Slippers. Outfit.
I'm wearing my
hat.
Christmas pajamas.
Yeah, I am head to toe in a present. I'm not wearing anything besides my underwear that was not new currently.
Same.
So yeah.
Want to show off our gifts and our decorations. We've got other stuff too. Just not everything fits in the shot. Got some blankets, some mugs, some
more clothes. I got more clothes.
Coolers, clothes. Yours isn't very Christmassy though. You didn't get cool Christmas pajamas like I did.
Yeah. Ooh.
Jeez.
Yeah, but this hat is sweet. This is one of those these are one of those outfits, but especially the hat that just like you put it on and you're like, I'm a different person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Who are you then? So I introduced you as Courtney Briggs, so who are you?
Kind of like how the windbreaker last episode, you just like, I felt like I needed to dance. This one feels like cool surfer girl.
You really get into the moods of your outfits.
Oh, 100%.
Your outfit changes your mood.
100%. Like the one day I was wearing your new Patriot sweatshirt, and I had this hat on. I had my new jacket that I had to buy because I forgot my bomber jacket here. And I was walking different.
Yeah, the Patriot sweatshirt on, you just want to start tackling people.
No, it was like, oh, I'm wearing like a cool oversized sweatshirt that has like a graphic on it. I have this hat on, my new earrings on, and then I had the long like trench coat jacket. I was like, I'm walking different. Like this is changing who I am while it's on me. That was not cool surfer girl. That was like cool New Yorker. Like, I'm gonna go get a coffee. this, I think, with the shirt and the necklace. I'm like,
Yeah, you really get into it. I could be wearing something cool or something like this, and I feel exactly the same. I don't really change.
that's why fashion is more fun for me than it is for you. You're
Well,
like, it's just clothes. To where I'm like, it changes who I am.
yeah, honestly, that makes sense. Like, of what? I don't know. I never thought of it that way. That, like, fashion, it does. It makes people feel a certain way.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense to me.
To where if I had like a dress on it, like I'd have to walk around like this. And
Like a princess,
yeah.
like all of our nieces.
Yeah, like she came down in the pink dress. And she just looked at me swaying, just waiting for me to say, like, I like your dress.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Seeing everybody, seeing the kids. The kids change every time we go back, it seems like. At least for me.
Yeah, the older ones are so different now.
They're so old.
Yeah, like they don't. And it could be because we're gone too. Like we're not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I don't know though, because it seems like every time besides this time, it's always been the same. They've always been the same. As far as like they always used to like the snuggles and the sitting with you on the couch, and to where this time they were just like, let me just show you some cool stuff. And, but
Yeah.
I think because we're not around a lot for the younger ones, they don't get into us being home as much because they're like, well, you're just some random people. To where I think with the older ones, we were kind of there for, the beginning of them. That
Yeah.
it's like, oh, these are my friends coming back, rather than like, these are just the people that come back.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I think they're different every year. Even just little things. Little subtle things. But they're always fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fun to see. They're always excited to see us, I think, because they don't see us that much. So they get excited and whatnot. And they're crazy. And they feel the effects of all the crazy days, too. And,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I think everybody does.
What was your like, and you don't have to answer this question. If you think it's a dumb question, we can just skip it. But what are like your top, maybe like
It's
three?
a dumb question.
Okay, we can skip it then.
No, what were you saying?
I would just like kind of like a wrap up. Like, what's your three like funny memories, best memory, like your three top moments? One of my first ones was getting to work out with my dad. I thought that was fun. We got to actually go to a gym, which we're working out of our garage, and we have a gym kind of set up, but one thing we don't have is dumbbells. So it was interesting getting to work out with dumbbells. Every time we get to work out with dumbbells I have been able to with going to hotels and stuff. It is so crazy how much I don't know, like certain lifts are just different. Like we did like Arnold press and we did our chest press. I'm like, oh, this is way different than just using the bar.
Well,
It's like they're both great, but it is different. You can see why you put both in your programming.
It's something that we preach on here all the time about having variety and doing stuff that you don't normally do, and that is most of the time what's going to be the most beneficial is the stuff that you avoid or you stay away from, or even like for us, we don't have access to right now. We just have a barbell and we just have bands that we go and do the dumbbells and stuff, and we noticed immediately like just our kind of like proprioception and our control over the dumbbells is not very good, and even just like the wrist strength and the forearm strength of holding those steady and using those was kind of odd. And it was funny because we could feel the fatigue from it in a different way that we're not used to feeling. And then even the next day, it's like you're a little bit more sore than usual. And I don't know, you just kind of notice that you don't have it. You notice that you don't do it. So, us preaching it on all the time on here, it's like, same thing for us is when you go do it, you really notice, oh, I need to be doing these more. I need to try to get access to these more because you're missing out on things that could really benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was fun. That was one of mine.
I don't really have specific moments. I think just, I don't know, like any time with your dad is super fun.
Yeah.
Every time we were over there with him, it was just like, oh, this is the easy breezy, lighthearted, like joking around and just having fun. And I don't know, just
It's
he
the
makes you he
go.
makes you feel like you're a kid again. Like I felt like we were just all kids all the time, where it's like, I don't know, you go to the water park and you're doing stuff you're not supposed to do type of thing,
Sure.
or not that we were doing anything you're not supposed to, but it's just like it's a very like, let's just have fun.
Yes. Yeah, he has a way of it being super calm and relaxing yet eventful.
Even yeah, when you're
Does that
sitting there
make
doing
sense?
nothing,
Like
like you're just sitting there talking and whatever, but everything is just, I don't know, it's just fun.
it's like chill and loose and there's no agenda, but it's like still things still get done. It's like the perfect balance of relaxing, hanging out, quality time, fun, laughs, no matter what you're doing. Like we could be working out, we could be hanging out at his house, we could be going and getting Christmas presents or whatever. And it's like, it's just going to be good conversation, funny, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that's why he's gonna come live with us for like 3 months.
5. Yeah. Well, and you even said it the one night that we were hanging out with him, we left. You're like, I feel like that is kind of how it would be with him living with us. Like, we just made dinner and talked, and that's like it. It's like what we do every night.
Yeah,
But it's nothing that has to be super crazy or I don't know. Conversations are just simple, and we can get into super deep things without it being a fight. And even if it is a fight, we can handle that. And
I think he's the most natural at making it seem like you never left, kind of thing.
yeah,
You know, it seems like he's very okay with silence, or just okay with not having to have conversation or talk or whatever, to where it's like we could just be there and put a show on or put a football game on and just be sitting there eating dinner, and it's not like there has to be conversation filling the air type of thing. Like we could just sit there and watch a game and not really say anything, and then as something comes up, you start talking about it. You know, just like if it were to be us here by ourselves, it's like we're not having to talk the whole time. There's just such a comfortability with silence and just not anything that it's like you never left. It's like you just go over there, you do dinner and all that kind of stuff, you're hanging out, and it just feels normal.
yeah, yeah. Good guy. I knew you were gonna laugh at that.
Good guy. Oh my
It
god.
was just the most like general thing I could say, but wraps
I
it
don't
up. Good guy.
I don't really have specific moments. To me, it's just always about like being able to go and see the people, go see our family and whatever. It's not like, I don't know. And I don't want this to sound like a bad thing, because I don't feel like it's a bad thing, but it's somewhat the same every year. You go home, and at least for me, like I don't really go off of, or I don't really pinpoint certain moments or things that happen that's super funny or fun or whatever. It's usually just like a general feeling or vibe going on. And it's like it's always fun to go home and hang out with my family and your family, and being able to get a little bit of one-on-one time with everybody that typically happens. And it's not like, for me, it's not like there's this moment that my 3 top moments. It's like, it's kind of the same each time. It's just, there's a little bit of difference maybe of the way that people communicate or whatever. But so I don't know. I just, like usual, it was fun to go back and see everybody and um, hang out with people individually. And we were able to go to a movie with my sister and brother-in-law or brother. Like,
Spider-Man, go watch it.
yeah, we went and saw Spider-Man. That was fun. That was a great time. And got one-on-one time with my other brother, and then the other brother, and then the other brother. It's like
Yeah.
I don't really have moments, or
Sure.
I don't think
Yeah, it is
I
just
don't
a
think I
blend
ever
of.
do that. I don't think I ever.
No, I don't think so. Really. Yeah.
I have a horrible memory that way, or I
Yeah.
just don't. I don't know. I don't look at things that way or just like take things out. I'm like, oh, this moment was great. It's like, no, I remember doing that, but I don't remember the specific details that happened within it.
Sure. Yeah.
So you take the floor.
No, I think it was a silly question. Let's just move on.
But did you have anything else that sticks out to you?
I think well, yeah, like I said, working out and just hanging out with my dad, and then we go on a whole rant of why my dad is so fun. So I don't really need to say anything else about that. I thought it was actually
don't give him too much.
I thought it was cool with my mom's Christmas actually doing it somewhere else.
Oh,
I thought that was just like, I don't know, it was just like a cool mix up and something different, and still just like it broke it down just to the simplicity of what I think those separate Christmases are, is just like hanging out, talking, having fun.
Well, and that's what I thought with hers.
To be
That's what I thought with her. With hers, at one point while we were there, I was like, yeah, it doesn't really matter where we're at. Like, it's the cheesy thing, but it's that we're together doing it.
Yeah.
Because we just went to a pizza place and brought the gifts and stuff there. We're used to doing it like at her house, but we changed it up this year, and it was like, oh yeah, this is like, it's with the people, so it's the same.
Yeah. And then I think just every like fun night with your family, everybody always tends to get together, so it's like everybody's kind of all hanging out, but just to see the kids evolve into each year, them being a little bit different, but then a little bit different together too, of like, no matter what, they're all playing together, having fun together, just the dynamics of how they do that changes. You know, like this year you could tell the girls were just like being like not falling into, but like doing what girls their age do. Like you can totally tell the difference of them being 4 and 5, or almost 4 and 5, almost 3 and 5, 3 and 4, to where they were kids and they were just like laughing and having all the fun, to where now it's getting into that, like, I'm going to test you and I want that toy because you were playing with that toy. And
sure, yeah.
And then just to still see like the younger ones being in more of that innocent, like, oh, this is just fun because it's purple.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah. There's a little bit of like just illogical stuff. Like you said, the toy thing.
Which at that age,
I just don't want you to play with it.
Always comes out. So it's cool to like, because we're not there all the time to see the day to day, we just see like, okay, you're a year older. How does this affect how you act? And it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely the age that this would start to happen. So it's funny that they are right on track with that.
Yeah.
It was cool to see that.
Oh my gosh. The one day they were arguing about breakfast, and it's literally one of them just didn't want the other one to have waffles. It's like,
I want them, but you can't have them.
No, she didn't even want them.
Oh.
She was like, I want oatmeal. And then she's like, okay. And then the other one wanted waffles, and she's like, I don't want her to have waffles. It's like, you're not even having waffles. It's so funny. That happens still, though, when you grow up.
Yeah.
People are still that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was funny. They're so funny. It's just like, I feel like you see moments like that in them where you're like, oh, this is a very specific or extreme example, but adults do this too.
For sure.
Adults will do this of like, in more sneaky ways of like, oh, I'm not even having that, but I don't want you to have that.
Yeah.
You know, whether that's money or houses or cars or whatever it might be. But it's so funny. Like, you just see it at such an extreme level because it's something so silly and obvious, and they don't know how to hide it.
Right.
Because it's like, well, why don't you want her to have it? I don't know. I just don't want her to.
Yeah.
Where adults will do that, but in a very sneaky way.
And then adults will make logic for it.
Yeah.
Rather than the kids going, I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. Why not? Because I don't.
Yeah.
Like, that's what being around kids is so fun with my job, is because you get to see just the isolated, broken down semantics with things that, adults do that all the time. Or they're just like, they'll start being crazy or being a little bit more crabby or start crying for no reason. And it's like, they're just tired.
Yeah.
It's like, adults do that too when they get tired. Like they just get emotional way too easily, or they get riled up too easily, or like they're hungry. Same. Or yeah, like you said, like, no, I don't want you to have that. Just jealousy. I don't want you to be playing with that person, or I don't want you to be playing with that toy because it's mine. I feel like you took that away from me. No different.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
We all suck.
Yeah, I mean, we don't really grow up that much, do we?
Well, like you said, we start to find ways to like sneakily put logic to it. You know, we
Yeah.
put logic to it and make it seem like it makes sense, but in reality, it maybe doesn't, or it's just still rude, or it's mean, or
Yeah, they shouldn't be buying the new house, that new car. Why? Well, they can't afford that, or they shouldn't be living in that area, or like
yeah,
whatever. And then you same thing with, well, why can't they play with that? Because they can't.
yeah,
Okay. Well,
yeah,
none of those things make sense.
yeah,
But
yeah.
as an adult, you can put things that you think make sense because other people would care about those things, or
Yeah, you're smarter.
yeah.
You can know your audience and know who you're talking to, and start to create a story or a thing around it to make it seem like it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah.
kids. We're all just kids.
Yeah.
We're all just grown up kids.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. You have to say your joke from today.
My joke from today. I have so many good ones.
No, because I was just going to say, yeah, head's still throbbing.
Oh yeah.
I had said, I don't even know what I said. Let's just say I said I'm cold. That
Yeah,
wasn't what it is. But
because
let's
that's
just
the
say that's what it
usual
is.
one.
I say I'm cold. Then maybe 5 minutes later, I go, wow, I'm cold.
But literally 5 minutes later,
And you say,
I said, "Wow, I must be having deja vu because I feel like I just heard this."
no, you didn't say that first. You just said, wow, am I having deja vu?
Yeah.
Slam.
Yep.
Same way that I'm a kid. I'm feeling something and it's controlling my thoughts and my life in that moment.
And you won't
Like I
let
said,
it
my
go.
head is throbbing right now. I can't think about anything besides my head is throbbing.
And you won't let it go.
Because it's consuming every single moment. Taking up all the bandwidth in that moment. Every moment.
That's a rough life.
Why do you think I talk about it?
I don't know. It's like put on a sweatshirt.
Speaking of that, oh my gosh. It was so fun going back home and everything was great. But man, does it make you appreciate, and this goes go for anywhere, no matter whether you're going back home to see family or just on a vacation, just because you're gone, it makes you appreciate your house. It makes you appreciate, I mean, like, I felt like I had never felt nicer weather in my life than today. Like, it was probably 70 degrees out, but we just came from
12.
No,
it
it's
wasn't
not
that bad.
12, maybe like 20s. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just, I live in paradise. Yeah, most of the days I'd be like, I don't like this place.
Yeah, it was freezing there. And I felt like I started to get used to it even. But then when we got back here, it was like,
It didn't hit me until we started packing the car.
oh
when
yeah,
it was so cold. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, it was cold when we were packing the car. But it was funny kind of on the way here or on the way back, Wisconsin to Texas, it starts to get warmer and warmer as you get, you hit each state or whatever. And it turned from having the heat on to having the air on. And then, we get here and go to bed and wake up and we're both kind of like, man, it's warm. We're warm. And we go outside and the sun is shining. We barely even saw the sun while we were there. But yeah, I mentioned that too of like, it's just nice when you're gone, you come back, you're home, you're in your own bed, you know where everything is at in the cupboards and there's just a slight uncomfortability when you're away from home, like whether you're at an Airbnb or a hotel or you're at, your families and you're bouncing around house to house. It's like, there's just a slight, like, this isn't your place.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're just hanging out or when you're just at home, it's like, I don't know. It is. It's just like, oh my gosh, my things.
Yeah.
My couch, my chair, my bed, my coffee maker, everything. You
Yeah.
don't feel like you're doing something wrong if you fill
Right.
up the Brita or if
Right.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. But all in all, he's a good guy. Just gonna keep using that to wrap things up. So I ask again. Are you ready to get into the topic?
Yeah. It's like a game show. Are you ready to get into the topic?
Well, see, that's how I know that I'm tired, because I would have taken that and just went with it. Like, I would have done a whole intro and would have been like, and welcome to the show. Next segment is going to be something.
You're doing it.
I know, but I would have made it.
Anyways.
I would have went way farther
That's how
into
you
it.
know I'm tired, and then you still go into it.
No, that was just a little sliver of what would have happened.
Yeah.
You don't even know what would have happened if I was awake.
All right. Yeah, let's do the topic.
Okay, go for it.
Oh my God.
If people don't,
Just figure it out yourself, people.
if people don't, if you don't feel tired after watching this, good for you. Because, oh my gosh.
We're struggling.
Woo! Okay. The topic today, and this is mostly, we're talking about this because we had nothing else to talk about. We couldn't think of anything else.
No.
No, this actually
it got
came
brought
up
up.
a few times with different people when we were back home, and we're like, "Oh, this is actually interesting. We haven't done an episode on this," and yeah. So it is how we think individually, and we're going to give different answers maybe for some of them, is how to go through like a bulk to a cut. We'll give you the timelines for what we've done, the maybe certain exercises that we prefer, how our diet would maybe change, and something.
Yeah. I think the first thing to start with this, the bulk to a cut type thing, or even just like if you're bulking or if you're just cutting, these are not lifestyles that you should be doing. I feel like there's a kind of a type of person or just a group, maybe that's more what I say, a group of people, my brain's not working, in the fitness space that it's like they're always bulking or cutting. And there's maybe a misconception about it, or just wrong use of terminology or phrases or whatever, but this bulking and cutting should happen in shorter segments. This isn't something you do for a year. It's not something that you have for a long period of time. It's a gazelle intense like moment in the year that you will bulk or you will cut. And I would even say, I guess to start with, besides that, you probably shouldn't run these back to back. If you're going to bulk and then cut, these are gazelle intense things, and these are very
Isolated and dialed in segments.
Yeah, and they're intense. Like there's a lot happening to you. There's a lot happening to your body. There's a lot going on. It's just very hard on your body. A cut or a bulk, it's very hard on your body. So you don't want to be doing it for long periods of time. It's like you're minimizing calories or you're maximizing calories. You're doing more than you used to or more than you should. You're doing less than you should. Those need to happen in short bursts and short amount of times. If you're doing it for too long, your body's an adaptive machine that it's just going to continue to adapt. And as you're doing a cut, you're cutting calories. You're maybe at 2,000, then you're going to 1,700, then 15, or whatever. You're bringing it down. Your body's just going to start to adapt and get used to the amount of calories that you're putting in. Um, and then you get stuck. All of a sudden, you've worked your way down to like 1,000 calories, and now your lifestyle is just eating 1,000 calories. And if you do anything, you're gonna, you know, your body's gonna change in a way you don't want to. So these need to happen in very short amounts of times. And typically, the bulking and cutting thing, it's almost only an aesthetic endeavor. This is not a you use this to change your life and you know.
Or just overall health. It's not for that.
Oh, right, exactly. It's definitely not a health thing. It's an aesthetic thing, and it's typically used for bodybuilders and people getting ready for competition, aesthetic competitions. You wouldn't do this for health.
I'd maybe do a bulk to a cut like maybe like once or twice a year. You know, like most of the time you're going to be in your maintenance. Most of the time you're going to maybe have individual goals of, I want to build out my shoulders, but that's pretty much it. And you're just working on that, or you're switching up your programming. But I think because this whole process also involves like a diet shift and possibly doing a lot of other things that you're not used to doing, you don't need to do that consistently as your maintenance, which is why you only do it at certain chunks. But it's something that I think is really I don't want to say misused, but people don't get the results that they're wanting from it a lot of the time. They kind of do this, I'm going to bulk up or go through my bulk phase, and then when I go through my cut, they look the same. Every time you do a bulk and a cut, you should see your body changing every single time. That's why you don't continue to do it. You do it every once in a while because you're basically wanting to build up the muscle, build more muscle than you've had before, build up the mass. Then you're fine-tuning what you want to build out maybe a little bit more individually, and then you kind of chisel away at it. That you don't want to just... I feel like what most people do is they just gain weight and lose weight. They don't actually change their physical appearance. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think there is a little bit of a misuse. I think if you were to just do a bulk and then you get done with that and say you just kind of go back to whatever you were doing before, that's what you're going to go back to then. Like if you're going to go back and you eat the same things, exercise the same way, sleep the same amount, have the same amount of water intake, you just go back to your regular life after your bulk, yeah, you're just going to go back to whatever you were at before. So it's kind of like if you don't enjoy where you're at currently, it's because of the things you're doing. So you have to change those things up. And with bulking and cutting especially, you are changing all of the variables of mainly exercise and diet, but sleep as well and a bunch of other things, water intake. You have to really assess all of these, but you are changing these variables so that you get this intense, like, it's kind of like what we say for opposite of what you should do as you get into working out is take one thing at a time and get good at one thing at a time. With bulking and cutting, you're taking everything and changing it right now. And you have to make sure everything is on point and you're going after it. Because if you go, I'm going to bulk, and then you just increase calories and you don't change your workouts, you don't change anything else, you're not really going to get anything out of it other than you're just going to gain weight and probably not good weight. So you have to have all of those variables, how you want them to be and what's going to help you get into that, moving in the direction that you want to go. You can't have any of those things off.
I feel like for the opposite of that is if you were just in your maintenance, like I said, you could just focus on something like building out your shoulders, or you could do, like, say, our programs. You could run through all of our programs. They're all built for different things. Like foundation is meant to give you a foundation and go back to the basics and the simplicity of the lifts. Olympia is a little bit more bodybuilding gear to where your days, your tempo, your rest periods are going to be different. Hub or Olympia Elite is going to be same thing, but just more days in the gym, to where Atlas is completely different from all of those, where you're just focusing on maxing out your weight, pushing, getting stronger. And those will also have different tempos, different rest periods, different phases within those. But then again, you're just focusing on the workout, to where if you're doing a bulk or a cut, you're changing up that of what we just talked about, the programming, the sets, reps, the weights, the exercises that you're doing, how long you're doing it, plus what you're eating and how much you're eating and the calories that you're bringing in and what type of calories you're bringing in. You're changing up how many days a week you're going to the gym. You're changing up possibly your like recovery routine might need to be different in each one of those phases. So it's like it consumes more than just the workout. It changes kind of like your whole package of fitness for that time.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to do everything right when you do a bulk or a cut. There's no like, I'm just going to increase calories and not really change my workouts. I'm just going to, maybe change my diet a little bit and maybe kind of put a little bit more weight on the bar when I go in. Like you are putting everything into this, and here's the other part of it. 4 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Mm-hmm. You're going intense for 4 weeks. Everything has to be dialed in and right to get what you want out of this. And then after the 4 weeks, you're done with it. And now there's kind of this, I don't like the word maintenance just because it sounds like you're not doing anything, but you're going to this like need to keep what I just built and made area afterwards, where you relax on the whole, everything needs to be right. You go back to like, okay, what was I eating before and how do I make better choices, or what did I learn from increasing calories and whatnot? Maybe your calories stay up a little bit still, but you want to keep what you just built. So don't go back to whatever you were doing before, because you're just going to slowly start to rid of everything, especially workout wise. If you go in and you do this gazelle intense, you're good for 4 weeks, and then you go back to like not really putting enough weight on the bar, you're just going to lose everything.
Sure. To where it doesn't mean that you need to stay at that intensity, is like kind of what you're saying, but you don't have to maybe be tracking your calories. You don't have to be like go in every day and it be super, super intense, but you're still going in with just an intention and you're going in to just stay healthy. Then you're going back to that. I kind of see it as like if you were going to take it kind of on the outside of maybe lifting, but like if you were training for a marathon, you're not always training for a marathon. You're training for a marathon until you do the marathon. And then on your off time or sports, like your off season is to build and, get stronger, to where then during the season, you're just playing. With a marathon, you're training until the marathon happens, and then you're just staying healthy. You're staying in shape. Same thing, kind of like with a bulk and a cut. You're doing this phase of intensity and really trying to change your look and change how you work out and change how you eat. Then you go back to just staying healthy and staying fit.
Yeah, because you can't keep that intensity for that long. That's why you have to dial everything in and do everything right, because you can't do that for so long. You can't do that for 6 months type of thing. You do this for like 4 weeks and then you come off and you go, okay, what did I learn? Same with like what a marathon runner would do. They do the event. They go, okay, what did I learn? Wow, my calves are super underdeveloped. And that's immediately what got sore and what was hurting me throughout the race. I need to take this off season now to build up my calves, make sure they are strong and they can handle this amount. And then they start to program for that and make that stronger and whatever. When you go through the bulk, it's the same type of thing. Okay, my chest exploded, my legs exploded, but my shoulders kind of stayed the same. My biceps kind of stayed the same. So, okay, let's go into the off season and let's start to train these things of making them be able to handle more or get stronger or whatever. You're kind of preparing. You're preparing for the next time you do it. And it's the same with the cut too. You do this high intensity for 4 weeks, and then you back off and you go, okay, what did I learn? I think that's a huge thing in the fitness industry just in general is they will do a bulk, or they will do, even if it's like train for a marathon, they'll do anything, but they won't be in the moment and see what's going on throughout it and learn from it. So then when they're done with it, they go, I don't know, it didn't really seem like it worked. And it's like, well, because you weren't paying attention.
And that's another thing of why we're also giving our individual answers, because there's not like a specific blueprint that's going to work for everybody. That's what we push or want to try to push a lot with this podcast just in general is the individual.
Yeah.
How you are going to find what works for you is maybe going to be different than what we're doing. We're just trying to promote the idea of figure that out. Maybe taking these tips and tricks that we're giving you and then taking them into your own and going, okay, this is something that's important. How can I figure out what works for me? Because I know for me, and the last time I did a full bulk to a cut, I know that I would switch things up now. There are certain things that I did that I'm like, well, I could have done without that, or I could have did more with that. But I have to be in tune with when I'm doing that so that next time I can adapt.
Yeah.
So just paying attention to what is working for you, what is not working for you so that you can adjust. But we're going to give you like a layout basically of what each one of us would maybe do. And then you can take that and kind of, how does this work for me?
And I think something to think about before you go into a bulk or a cut. Typically, this is the direction that people go when they want to make a big change. And I think the advice to give in this situation is you may not feel like you're doing this, but really think about if you're doing this thinking or feeling like if I do this, it'll change my health life type of thing. People want to make these big changes and do these, 4 weeks of intensity or whatever, thinking that it's going to change the rest of how they live or how they look, to where this is a never-ending process. And that's kind of why we say when you do a bulk or you do a cut, what did you learn from it? And I'll apply it to the next time, because there's always going to be a next time. This health thing doesn't end. You constantly have to be analyzing what you're eating and putting in your body. You have to constantly be analyzing how you're working out and if you're getting stronger or not stronger, or is my programming good? Am I doing these exercises correctly or whatever? There's no just like go in and do the same stuff over and over again and you'll be fine. Or go in for 4 weeks on a bulk or a cut thinking that once I get that done, I'm going to be healthy or I'm going to look the way that I want to look. It doesn't work like that.
Sure. Yeah. I agree with you. Do you want to go first?
As how I would like run it or do it? Yeah, I can go first. I think as like what we said before, this is kind of a general layout. It's not a do it exactly this way, or we're not going to give specifics of like, this is what you should be eating and all that type of stuff, because everybody's different. They all have their different diet restrictions or what they're even starting at. I guess to start with, what I would say is if you have diet issues now of like maybe you eat too many calories or you eat too little of calories, don't do a bulk or a cut. You have to come to a point where you're at a neutral, healthy space. And it's the same with working out or your lifting routine. Don't start a bulk or a cut if you haven't lifted before.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or haven't really exercised before. You don't start with that. Start with a point where I'm eating a good amount of calories. It's a normal amount of calories. It's a healthy amount. And I'm exercising a healthy amount. And then this is where you can start to do these things. So we could start with a bulk because that's what I know more about, I feel like. With a bulk, you have to increase calories, period. If you're going to bulk, you're getting bigger, you're getting stronger, you have to increase calories. You can't do just go into the gym and lift more weight without increasing your calories. The calorie part is a very big reason on why you're going to get bigger and stronger. So you have to increase calories, and you have to be constantly pushing the weight on the bar or the dumbbell or whatever it is. This is for you to get bigger and stronger, both of those. So you need to be pushing yourself in that direction. If you're going into the gym and you're putting the same amount of weight on the bar every single day, or every week you go in, or whatever it is, this bulk is not going to work. It's not going to be what you want it to be. So you have to increase calories. You have to be pushing the weight, putting weight on the bar, and you have to be getting sleep. Sleep is going to be your best friend, especially with the bulk, because the recovery for this is extremely, extremely important. It's extremely important because as you're pushing that weight on the bar, you're going to get so freaking sore. It's unbelievable. And sleep is going to be a huge thing to help you with that. And the food. That's why the food's important. And even now, as we're lining these out, everything has to be dialed in for you to get the most out of this that you want. So you have to have those three things specifically. You got to be sleeping. You got to be pushing the weight on the bar. You got to be increasing your calories.
How many days a week do you think you would run your workouts?
I would, whatever the individual is doing right now, I think is fine. You can keep those same amount of days. It's going to be hard to get a lot of results if you're only going, say, twice a week. I think 3 times a week, you can start to see even more. 4 times a week is even better. But especially with the bulk part of this, you're going to need your recovery. So you doing 7 days a week probably isn't a good idea because you're not giving yourself adequate recovery that you're going to really need for this bulk. But I would say if you're at 3 days a week, run it. If you're at 2 days a week, I would say work yourself to get to working out 3 days a week and then do a bulk. Another thing with the bulk is because you're going to be trying to push a lot of weight, the best way that you can be doing that is by doing compound lifts where you're using a lot of different muscle groups for one exercise. If you're going in and you're just doing bicep curls and trying to put as much weight on as you can for that, or you're going in and just sitting on a chest press machine trying to do that, or flies, that sort of thing, you're not going to get as much out of it as you're wanting. If you want to put on mass and you want to get a lot of strength, you want to be under the barbell as much as possible. You're using the most amount of muscle groups that you can with exercises. So you're going to be able to push the most amount of weight that your body can push. You can always put more on the bar or more weight on you when you're doing a chest press rather than like a dumbbell fly or even a dumbbell bench press. A dumbbell bench press is great because you get the individual work, but you can't put 250 pounds on a bar and bench press it. You can only put, 100 pounds of dumbbells in each hand type of thing. So you're going to want to go to your compound lifts, squat, deadlift, chest press, barbell row, and really make those the meat of your exercises or of your workouts for the day. Another thing with the bulk, what you're going to want to do is low repetitions. So in order to gain mass and to gain size, you need to lift a lot of weight. To lift a lot of weight, you're going to typically be in the lower rep ranges for what you can do. Everybody can do X amount of weight at 15 reps. When you go to, okay, you only have to push this 5 times, that weight should be a lot higher than it is for 15. So that's more of the rep range that you're going to want to be in is the 5 repetitions, the 8 repetitions, basically lower than 10, because you want to gain size. And that's where you're going to gain size is in that rep range. Your rest periods are also going to be a little bit longer than they typically are. They're not going to be these short burst ones because, again, recovery. You need to allow your muscles to recover, whether that's within your workout, it's after your workout, or it's sleeping. You need to recover because you're going to be really straining your muscles. And this is why if you run this too long, if you do, you don't give yourself enough recovery, this is the time, the bulking, where you get injured because you're not recovered enough. You're not giving yourself enough recovery between sets. That's where things start to go wrong. And you're putting a lot of weight on your body. That's where it goes wrong. So in that 5 to 10 rep range, rest periods are a little bit longer. You're talking like 2 minutes between each, right around there, kind of an average number. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna explain how I've done mine in the past, basically from the bulk all the way through the cut, my whole programming with it. I will say, Cheney has helped me a lot with kind of figuring out certain things. And I would say if you have someone that can kind of not be a partner in when you do this, but like, I think me talking to a guy about it really helped me kind of push myself in other ways. So if this is you and you're like, okay, maybe I have this person that I could talk to about it, or I wonder what lifts they're doing. A big thing that helped with me is, like, I feel like because as a girl, I didn't search out the foods that put on weight ever. I searched out the foods that made you lose weight. So even having a little bit more knowledge in that and doing your research or talking to other people, or if you have like say if you are a girl and you have, guys at the gym that you see are kind of doing this or pushing the weight a little bit more, maybe just getting your feelers out there to see if you could get any more information. But okay, so how I looked at it, and you gave me this analogy, and I think I also heard it on Mind Pump too, but how I see now a cut into a bulk is like creating a statue. To me, there are 3 separate phases. So the first one, us talking about kind of, which is like the bulk of which most people would sit in the most, is whether it's like clay or rock or ice, you're trying to give yourself the most material to then break it down into your statue of whatever you're trying to create. So the first phase is just mass building. You're just trying to make that block as big as you possibly can. You're trying to add as much clay as you possibly can. So you're not thinking about creating shape. You're just thinking about how big can I get? How strong can I get? How much mass can I put on? So with that, I am just sticking with like the heavy, like you said, the heavy compound lifts. I might even stick with like a 5x5. But just for me, what I focused on was squats, deadlifts. Squats, because I didn't do hip thrusts. Well, no, I did. Squats, hip thrusts, deadlifts, shoulder press, chest press, and rows. Yes. Yep. So that's all I focused on. And I just focused on doing it with barbells. No dumbbells at that point. Just barbells, because again, you're just trying to push the numbers, trying to get as strong as you can. That's all I was doing. I didn't focus on really like, oh well, I want to build out my butt at the end of this, so I'm going to focus more on squats and I'm going to focus more on deadlifts. I was just, every workout that I went into, I wanted to see, okay, this is the weight that I put up last week. What can I do this workout? What can I do this workout? And just focusing on getting stronger, because then in turn, with the added calories, made me put on the mass that I needed. And I ran that for 4 weeks. So that first phase, I ran for 4 weeks. Just the compounds, just the heavy barbells. And then my diet at that point, I focused a lot on just getting the denser foods. So if I was going to have a protein shake or a smoothie, adding in the yogurt, adding in peanut butter, adding in whole milk, choosing to do the pasta or the rice or the starchy carbs, adding more fat into my diet. I noticed for me, if I add more fat or I up the fat, my body tends to work with that better than maybe like really loading the carbs on. But again, that's your individual of keeping track of what is working, because you could be the complete opposite. Like you work amazing with carbs, and those can be helpful. What I would say with the calories, besides just doing more of it, do I need to cut for time? Before you even go into your bulk, I would track how many calories and what you're eating first, because that was one of my biggest struggles in this phase, was just pushing the calories. I have been so used to staying within what I need to eat and not eating too much and not eating the kind of bad foods that I didn't really know what pushing it was. I didn't know what upping the calories really was. So whether you need to track and go, okay, this is my added calories. This is the number that I need to hit every single day. You'd be surprised how hard it is to maximize your calories. You would think like, oh, I can just eat as much as I want. To actually push your calories and eat when you're not hungry is tricky to do. So I think if you have a number that you can reach, that might be helpful. For some people, tracking is annoying, but if you kind of want these results, sometimes it is helpful to know, like, no, I did eat as much as I needed to, or I did blah, blah, blah. So like I said, that would be my really put on the mass phase that I would do for 4 weeks. And you can stop me at any point if you feel like you thought of something. Next phase, so say if you have your mass, now I have just my blob or my big mass. That's another thing. Actually, let me go back to that. If you're not used to doing this, or not used to, like, say, I feel like most females don't think about, I'm going to push the weight and get bigger. It is such a mental challenge to just see your body get bigger and bigger and not defined or not in a shapely way. You're just getting bigger. So it's okay, because it's going to eventually get down to something, a little bit more chiseled and nice. You're putting in this work so that later on you feel good about it. So just try to get past that mental looking at yourself in the mirror going, this is the biggest I've ever looked. This looks crazy, because that's the point. So I would run that for I ran it for 4 weeks. I did 3 to 4 of my heavy lifting days, and then I would add in a day of stretching, mobility, really light recovery type stuff, because I did notice towards my 3.5 weeks, I was really noticing some joint irritation with pushing the weight, especially in my shoulders. So just making sure that you're upping your recovery, because like he said, it's a lot on your body to be pushing the weight and adding this intensity to it. And then I would move into my next phase, which I just have my mass, and now I'm just trying to create somewhat of a general shape. Not going in and creating the details, but just creating a general shape of what I want this to turn out to be. That I did for 3 weeks. That's where I blended barbells and dumbbells together, and mixing in a little bit more of the isolation movements. So I still kept my deadlift, my squat, my chest press, rows, and shoulder press, but I added in things like lunges. I added in like dumbbell shoulder press and dumbbell row and dumbbell chest press. And I think I did probably, from what I can remember, I upped the leg portion. Like I think I added in a little bit higher. Oh, that's another thing. In the first phase, I stuck with 5 reps. Everything was 5 reps. Second phase, I did like an 8 to 10 rep range. And I wanted to build out my shoulders and my glutes a lot more than the other body parts. So I upped the shoulders. I upped the more of like the glute isolating. So I started doing like straight leg deadlifts or good mornings, or like I said, lunges or Bulgarian lunges. And that calories were I still tried to push the calories. So food did not change for me there. I did same thing, 3 to 4 lifting days. And then like recovery within this phase for me was less difficult on my joints, but still just the type of volume that I was doing. And it's just good to have those days in there. So that's where like you're going to start to see your shape kind of condense and turn into something that you can recognize. And this is where this phase is fun for me, because then you can kind of pick out, well, I would like this to be a little bit bigger. I like this to be a little bit smaller. How do I want this eventually to turn out? That I did for 3 weeks. Then I moved into my cut or my chiseling phase. So if you take the statue, we went from the mass, which is just this block. Then we went into we're kind of making a shape out of it. Now I'm going into I am really hacking away and picking out pieces and making details and drawing lines in it to make it the statue that's going to be. This is when I cut out carbs. I cut out fat. I kept in there but lowered my numbers. But I cut out anything like grainy carbs. Didn't really do much dairy besides eggs. And then that's where I went into the rep range of 12 to 15 and mostly all dumbbell, and if you're in a gym, doing cables. But those are where like the real ice, like curls, tricep extensions, lunges and squats, and doing the things that are just going to be what word am I looking for? Defining. Where it's going to define those muscles and kind of make them a little bit more noticeable and cut and whatever. That phase I ran for 4 weeks. Now going through it, I would only do it for 2 to 3. For my personal body, I lose weight very easily. So I didn't really need to drop my calories for that long. I probably could have kept my calories a little bit more at a maintenance towards the end, but then just kept maybe the 3 or 4 weeks of that workout.
I think with the bulking and cutting specifically, but it's really for anything. You have to make sure whatever your intention is, you have to make sure that everything around it is following that. You know, if you're bulking, you're eating more calories and you're putting a lot of weight on the bar, and the exercises that you are doing are for gaining mass, and they are for like putting on a lot of size. And the same when you go to like the maintenance part or the in-between part of your cut, where for the next 3 or 4 weeks you're trying to just gain more shape. You have a lot of variety and a lot of breadth with what you're doing. You're doing dumbbells and barbells and cables, and how much you're pushing is kind of that middle area of maybe you're at like 10 to 12 or 10 to 15 potentially. And your eating is also in line with that too, of like you're kind of at what I would say is more of your normal eating, where you're eating a wide variety of things. You have some like high fat or high carb, but then you also have some really lean meals, and you're kind of just in this middle mix of everything. You're kind of doing a little bit of everything. And then when you go to the cut, again, your intention needs to be towards that. Your exercises are your 15 to 20 reps of everything. You're not putting a whole bunch of weight on the bar. You're not doing exercises that require maximum amount of effort and energy like a deadlift or a squat. You can maybe still put those in or do those things, but you are focusing more on chiseling and defining things. So you're hitting like tricep extensions and leg extensions and lunges and cable flies, dumbbell flies. You're doing the exercises that are more in line with what you're wanting to do. I think that's where things can get messy or tripped up, is like you're wanting to bulk, but then people go in and do bicep curls or heavy bicep curls. And it's like, no, this right now is to gain as much mass as possible. Let's not waste our time with these defining exercises. And then same when you go to cutting. You're not cutting and then going in and trying to lift your PR for deadlift. Like, that's not what this is for. It's for your bicep curls and tricep extensions and leg extensions and all of those things. So make sure that whatever your intention is with it, make sure everything lines up with it. Your diet, your exercise mainly. Sleep should always be good. I would say with bulking, sleep should be even more prioritized. But then rest periods. Rest periods are longer for the bulk. For the cut, they're shorter. You know, you're really making sure everything is dialed in and lined up with the intention that you want.
And I know this feels or seems like a lot, but yeah, it is. Like, that's kind of the point. It's what we said is this isn't supposed to be you do this all the time. This isn't your just workout routine to do a bulk and a cut. This is for, okay, I'm going to do this like once or twice a year and I am going to get into it. And everybody has their own version of this, and hopefully you take the time to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you and ways to make this simplified for you. But yeah, like there is a lot that goes into running this successfully. So go into it knowing that is going to be, it's a work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's consuming. It's consuming in almost every avenue, especially if you want this to work how you want it to work. But there's a lot of learning that can come from it and growth that can come from it as long as you're paying attention. And then when you're when you're done with all of that and you're just trying to be healthy and going to exercise just to be healthy, or maybe you are like, I'm not going to go gazelle intense with it and try to get big, but I want to try to build up my quads or my chest or whatever. You can kind of take what you learned from this gazelle intense, everything is about this, for the 4 weeks to 8 weeks if you're kind of doing both at the same time, 12 weeks if you're doing all of it. It can really be good, but it can also be really bad if you don't put that intensity to it.
It could be a waste of time.
If you just up your calories and you're not really exercising, you're just gonna put on fat, and that's not what anybody wants. So you got to make sure everything's dialed in.
Yeah.
I think with all of these topics, I always end up feeling like I didn't say everything I wanted to say necessarily, or like there's more information out there. But I feel like that's what, like I said, it seems like every podcast happens that way. There's such a depth to all of this, that we're only so many podcasts in that I want to, it's like I want to say everything there is to know about it, but then they're going to be 8-hour podcasts, you know?
Yeah.
These are very in-depth things, and we're trying to give general advice because we know everybody's individual. But we're also going to come back around and talk about these things pretty frequently, I'm sure. So,
yeah.
If you feel like we missed things, I guess, or you have questions about, I'm sure there's so many questions about everything that we talk about. It's kind of because of that. It's like we can't sit and go through every little detail, but hopefully along the road, we're going to cover what you're wanting to hear and what's going to help you. And
always, if you want us to address it quickly, you can always contact us through any of our social medias or through our email and say, hey, I watched your last podcast. I want you to, like, this is something I'm stuck with, or, I did run a bulk to a cut and nothing happened, and this is maybe why, or, after listening to the podcast, I have a question on this part. That's kind of the point. We want it to be helpful. So if it can be helpful specifically to you, reach out to us so that we can offer that to you.
Yeah. So like you said, you can contact us at our Facebook page, The Hub Fitness. You can contact us on our Instagram at the hub_fitness. You can email us at thehub.fitcrew@gmail.com. And
But until then, if you don't have anything, until you do have a question, obviously like, subscribe so that we can reach you as much as possible.
Yeah.
Continue to give you more information and hopefully things that can help you and make this whole lifelong thing of fitness, like you said, easier and more efficient and effective. And we are still running our holiday special of half off your first month of personal training, and we are still going to do the giveaway. We're still going to keep giving those more out of the free program. So any of our Foundation, Olympia Elite, Atlas, Mobility, just email us at the email that you have said, and we'll be in the description of whatever one you want, and we will send it your way.
Cool. Good. Time for bed.
I know.